Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Akibatun lil Mustaqim. Rwana ila dalimin. Subhanahu wa ta'ala ladhi anzala as-sakinata fi kulubi mu'minin. Nabiyana Sayyidina Makbubana Innahu kana Sayyidin Mursaleen Salawatu Allah Ta'ala wa Salamuhu alayhi. Salamu alaykum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh lil ikhwani wa akhwati fi Afrika, Europa, America wa Caribbean wa kulli makan. Salamu ala mani taba huda lil ikhwani wa akhwati wa kulli makan. Halim wa salim bikum. Thank you, my brothers and sisters who will show up for this in the near future. And a series I'm going to talk about, like last week, about the Fulani. This is part of my heritage, proud heritage. And this segment, I'll be dealing with the Fulani and Bilad as Sudan. Persons, this is geared more for the black man and the black woman outside of Africa who may not be up to speed on the history, the illustrious history of our continent, and upon the Fulani in particular. There are many African Americans in particular, especially, and also I would say in the Caribbean, who are Fulani and don't know it. And they're missing out on a luxurious history, heritage, full of excitement. We Fulani have some of the most beautiful women in the world. And we take no back seat to anyone as far as the beauty of our sisters. So I'm going to talk a little bit today, and then I'll conclude this with another segment, and about the word Bilad es Sudan. Means the land of the black people. But since in the Arabic language, we look at it, we have female, male. I like to use this term to mean the land of the black man. And this term was coined by the Afro-Arabs when they came south of the Sahara. They gave this name. And it wasn't a name of derogatory, meaning something less than, but they described the region at hand. And the Bilad es Sudan takes great significance for the black man in particular, because he is confused, black man, especially in America and the Caribbean, he is confused about his heritage and about his history. But this term Bilad es Sudan is significant to all of us because it represents not only by a name and by a geographical area, about a history, a wonderful history that took place. And it was galvanized by the Islamic sultanates. And in its power, the Europeans, as we know them as Tubab, came to learn at our luxurious universities. They came to study under some of our most famous Sheikh Islam, our intellectuals, our scientists. And in this mix, brothers and sisters, were the Fulani. The Fulani carried a big portion of this, of Bilad es Sudan. Now, when we talk about Bilad es Sudan, we're talking about mainly and I'll get into other parts of this, but mainly from the southern region of Morocco as we know today. As you look down on the map, southern part of Morocco, and then you see, Mauritania, and then you see Senegal and the Senegambia region, all the way across to the southern part of Egypt, which is called the Lower Egypt, means the southern part of Egypt, and then going a little bit south, going to Habasha, or Ethiopia, Eritrea, and so forth and so on, Somaliland and whatnot. This is basically the geographical name that has been given, even though we know that the south there are black countries too. But the significance of this particular region is so profound, because in this particular region they found many things: spices, ivory, gold, and then eventually, tragically, manpower from slavery. But I talk about this term as far as with the Fulani people, because the Fulani were instrumental in creating some of the most powerful Islamic sultanates in this region. And the scholarship among the Fulani were off the charts, as it is today. And also, again, in the mix, we have the beauty of the Fulani woman. She represents the core of what it is to be Fulani, because when you talk about the Fulani, many people who are familiar know about the woman, our sisters. They're renowned for her beauty, renowned. And so the scholars, the mujahid, the ones who struggled in Islam, struggling mean mujahid fi sabilillah ta'ala, meaning they participated in wars, in spreading Islam, defending Islam. The Fulani was the leaders of that. And also our Hausa brothers and sisters as well, because we are brothers and sisters of Hausa and Fulani. Even though there's disagreements that are currently happening, but we cannot erase the long history, legacy of our kinship. And so we cannot slight our Hausa brothers and sisters, because they are part of us as well, and we're part of them. So Africa, we look at it today, brothers and sisters, we know the Fulani are involved in many conflicts. We understand that. But there's changes that's happening on our continent. We have now officially adopted a language, a national language that's not a Tubab language, but an African dialect. They said Swahili, and this is what they said was voted on to be the national lingua franca of Africa. Okay, we didn't stop it there. We have X amount of countries in Africa who's decided now to throw out the French. This is also in the mix. But we have a problem, brothers and sisters, and the Fulanis can help us, because the Fulani people are travelers across this whole region still to this day. We have to change these names that have been bestowed upon us wrongfully by the Tubab colonists. We should begin to change these names. Why are we calling it West Africa? The name Bilad es Sudan comes from an Afro-Asiatic language we call Arabic. So why don't we call the western part of Africa, the West African part, Maghreb es Sudan, the Western Sudan? We call the northern part, which I consider all, and remember something, brothers and sisters, the northern region was also known as Maghreb until the French, the Tubab, broke it up into Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and so forth and so on. But it was known as Maghreb. So why don't we call it Shimal es Sudan, northern part of Africa? and so on and so on. And I believe this is the time we should do that. Our black brothers, our black folk inside the United States, who's still wrestling with their heritage. They don't know what to call themselves. They don't know if they're Black Americans, if they're colored Americans, or if they're Afro-Americans, or if they're African Americans, or Africans born in America. And many of them are Fulani. You should start taking the title, perhaps, of Sudani, the men in particular. You say, why is that, Yahya? Because many of our Fulani brothers, scholars, mujahideen, fi Allah ta'ala, are intellectuals, took the last name Sudani to represent the area of the region. Sudani means solda, and Arabic means black. So Sudan, solda, see? So when the most famous we can think of is Ahmed Baba Sudani, the great, great ancestral scholar of Timbuktu. He adopted this name Sudani to represent himself as a black man, a black Muslim, a black African Muslim. And he was proud of that. He did not want any other citizenship, even though I don't want to get deep into the history. There was a conflict that occurred between the kingdom, the Sultanate of Maghreb, as we know it today, Morocco, and they came in, and I don't want to get into this history, but in time, they wanted to give citizenship to Ahmed Baba Sudani, rahimahullah. He refused it. He wanted to take and maintain his citizenship and scholarship and his nationalistic fervor for being a black man, and he returned back to Mali, and he kept this name Sudani, which means black man. This is some of the history, brothers and sisters, that we don't talk about. We don't even discuss it because we don't know it. But it should be discussed, and it should be venerated, especially by the Fulani people, because we know better. Because we had also somebody that was sitting in Senegal, Omar Dal. Remember him? The great Mujahid. He was from a people who were related to the Fulani. They said they came from the Fulani people, but they gave themselves another name. The Tukulor people. I won't get deeper into the analytics behind this. But you look at that, and you look at his accomplishments and what he done under the banner of Islam. And for my brothers and sisters who are Fulani and who are other ethnic groups in Maghreb as Sudan, western part of Africa. We have a chorus of our brothers and sisters who are haters of Islam, who hate Islam, who down Islam. But who galvanized Bilad as Sudan? Was it the man who worshipped Juju? No. Was the man who practiced Orissa? No. How about the man who practiced voodoo? No. How about the man who practiced Ifa? No. What galvanized Bilad as Sudan was under the Islamic banner. No one can deny that fact. It's written by all historians. Because what happened is Islam bridged together all of these ethnic groups. The Hausa and the Fulani fought with one another against the disbelievers. Our brothers, the Mende, the Mandinka, the Wolof, they fought with their Fulani brothers and Hausa brothers in jihad wars to rid the area of disbelievers and the Salibiyin, the Crusaders, the Tubal. And the Fulani, the Hausa in particular, went over to the eastern part of Bilad Sudan and participated in jihads in present-day Sudan as we know it today. And our brothers who are in present-day Sudan also came to assist their brothers in Maghreb as Sudan, in Western Africa as well, under the banner of Islam. So the Islamic part of this is very important, brothers and sisters, because it shows that the Islamic banner galvanized all of these ethnic groups. And because they could not speak the same language, Arabic was the lingua franca. They wrote and had couriers who wrote in the Arabic language. One of our most famous scholars and mujahid, Usman Den Fodio. In Arabic, we call him Uthman Den Fudi in Arabic. He wrote in Fulani and he wrote also in Arabic. He was so prolific, he wrote in both of these languages. And so, again, brothers and sisters, we have to look at something here. I'm trying to get a picture here, and I'll be closing here shortly. I want us to begin to rethink, especially the Fulani brothers and sisters. You should be spearheading this. Why? Because you travel across Bilad, Sudan, more so than anybody else, with your caravans. And it's you who know this land very well. It's you who, quote unquote, migrated, lived there, and died there all across Bilad as Sudan. We should be spearheading the Fulani, the Filbi people, that we change this narrative. We start calling our continent by some names of some African dialect. And since it's already started with the Afro-Asiatic language of Arabic, we should continue this trait. As I said before, Maghreb as Sudan, Western Sudan. Shimal as Sudan. Janub as Sudan. Janub means south, South Africa. So Wasf as Sudan, central part of Africa. We should start changing the narrative and get these names that are not germane to, I'm talking about the language, the Tubab languages that we use to describe ourselves. We should get rid of that. Since we started to make a move to make a Swahili the national language of all of Africa, we should start now changing some of these colonial names they gave to divide us. And some may say, well, yeah, I don't understand. Well, what's the difference? So what? The Tubab, he divided us. Yes, you said it right. He divided us because he never wanted us to come together again. This is why he fought the Islamic Sultanate so hard, because they brought together all the factions of people. The Bambar fought with the Muslims. And in together with the Akan people, with the Ashanti people, with the Wolof people, with the Mandinka, the Kapele, the Igbo. All of these and many, many more ethnic groups who could not speak and galvanize each other, but were galvanized under the Islamic banner. And he fought and died for this cause, under the banner of Bilad as Sudan, the land of the black man. They wanted to preserve it. They wanted to keep it. They wanted for future generations to keep it as Bilad as Sudan, the land of the black people. Our Fulani brothers and sisters who travel across with cattle back and forth from the east to the west, noted for its beautiful women, noted for its hospitality, and as for its cultural traits, and for its intellectual and wisdom under the Islamic banner, should be spearheading this right now. Changing this narrative from West Africa, we call it Maghreb as Sudan. Because this is our continent. This is not the land of the Tubab, this is the land of the black man. Bilad as Sudan. So my brothers and sisters, I will conclude this portion of this, the Fulani and Bilad Sudan. I will cover some more. We'll talk about more aspects of Bilad Sudan, because I want our brothers and sisters, especially in America, because I'm speaking English language, because I want them to be able to understand me talking about this, because this is your history too. Because your family was taken on the same slave ships as mine. They may not have been Fulani, they might have been Mende, they might have been Mandinka, they might have been Capelli, they might have been Bambara, they might have been a whole host of other different ethnic groups. But we came on the same slave ships to end up in America. So this is your history as well. So don't discount this out, because it is your history as well, and you should be proud of it, and you should adopt that history, because the Maghreb es Sudan, Western, Sudan, Western Africa, as everybody likes to call it, is a significant part of history. Not only just on this continent, but Islamic scholarship, and its kingdoms, and its sultanates, and its minerals, and its spices, and its beauty of its women, the climate, the waterways, the tropical forests, the oceans. This is something that's a legacy and a heritage you, black man in America, should be proud of. And you, black man in Africa, you should venerate this as well. And you should thank Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for blessing us to be on this continent, because Ifriqiya means the Queen of Heaven. The Queen of Heaven. Because even the Afro-Arabs who came here were in awe of our continent. They were in awe of its striking beauty, our spices and our minerals. And they saw the people, and it brought Islam to us, and we ran with it. So much so, by the 13th, 14th century, the Afro-Arabs began to come back to this region, and they got spanked because their scholarship was not up to par at that time with our ancestral Sheikh Islams of those eras. They had to be reschooled again. And I'll give you this last part, and I will close. No, it's a contention. A lot of people talk about Maghreb, and we have even brothers and sisters, haters, that are Fulani. They shouldn't be this way. When they go to the north, they make all kind of comments. I had a dispute here weeks back with the sister who was way out of line. She was claiming, basically saying that if you are Fulani, and if you are not living anymore in West Africa, then you are not a Fulani anymore. That is hilarious and ridiculous. It should not be such a thing, because the Fulani have always traveled. They went past West Africa, as we understand, Maghreb es Sudan. They went all the way to the east. They went all the way to Messer and to Egypt. So are you trying to say those ancestral brothers who went into Egypt not Fulani? This is wrong, and we should never adopt this type of philosophy. Those to the north, especially Maghreb today, Morocco as we know it today, are a mixture in the southern part. And next time I'll show you some pictures of Fulani women. And you look at the women who are called Amazigh. Amazigh, and the negative word I hate, and they don't like it here in Maghreb either, Berber. You look at them, you don't see a difference. As a matter of fact, I showed a picture of this beautiful Fulani woman. She had tattoos and so forth, and they saw her and they thought she was from the Laayoune area or maybe Agadir region, southern region of Morocco. When I told them no, she was from West Africa, Maghreb es Sudan, they were shocked because they saw the same things. And I know today, because I've been down south, I saw the girls look like this here, but they call themselves Moroccans, they call themselves Amazigh, but they look just like Fulani girls that I've seen. So I'll get more into that because I want to give a historical synopsis to our brothers who may not be up to speed on this history. And also, it's time that we start to venerate Fulani people in particular, because that's what I am. I'm not here to down any other ethnic group. That's not my purpose, brothers and sisters. I'm here only to venerate the Fulani people because that's what I am. And therefore, and plus they're being maligned by many of the Europeans and even Africans too because of what is happening, which I talked about last week. I don't want to talk about that today. So brothers and sisters, I will leave you with something here, and I want you to ponder my thoughts. We begin to change the English names and the French names that they want to call our areas. And we adopt the African verbiage for these names. Maghreb es Sudan. Shimal es Sudan. Janub to the south es Sudan. And we start adopting those names. And the Fulani people should be the head of this. Why? They should be pushing us because it's us who've been traveling back and crossed there for centuries upon centuries. The Fulani language is even understood in the southern part of Egypt. How can that be? The Fulani language is even understood even in southern parts of Morocco. The Fulani have intermarried with the people of the Sahara, of the Tuareg. There's been a lot, and that's probably what happened in my case as well, where our ancestral brother came from the Fulani and went into a Maghreb region of the north, okay, Shimal, okay, Al Maghreb, okay, or Es Sudan, and married a woman there, Amazir, because I have Amazir as well. And brothers and sisters, I will close with this. You look at the sultans of the great 5 sultanates. Many of them, they were Fulani. This name Saadi, okay, Saadi it was a kingdom, but the kings, we find this name in West Africa. Look back at the history. You'll find this name, a scholar with this name. Yes. See, so we have a connection to the north as well, especially Al Maghreb, we know it today. Many of the sultans came from this region of the Senegambia region, came from there and went further north and settled into this region there because they had no borders in those days. And they developed these kingdoms, these sultanates, like Murabitun, Muwahidun. And then we look at the Saadi, okay? Remember this name I just told you about. There was a powerful sultanate as well who fought the Portuguese. Many of these people are Fulani as well, but they spoke Amazigh and they spoke Arabic language, but they're Fulani. So my brothers and sisters, I'll close today with this little short history here, and I'm hoping that I sparked your interest and to join me the next time around. And if anybody want to contact me, you can find me Yahya Shabaka in YouTube. I have a lot of videos there, and of course Facebook. I'm there, and if you have any comments and whatnot, because I'm at the age now, in my older years now, that I like to see the change. I like to see Africa with African names in it. When we describe a region or something, I want to hear Bilad es Sudan. I want to hear the land of the black man. I want to hear this. I don't want to hear the Tuba terminology of West Africa or North Africa or East Africa or South Africa. I don't want to hear that anymore. That's their terms for us. Why we allow them to make terms for us? This is not what we are. We're not them. We're not Tuba. We're Africans. So we should designate our names in African dialects because we're Africans and not Tuba. So I'll leave you with that, my brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.